What's up, everybody? 11:20 in the deep south. Deep, deep. Coming up on this beautiful moon tonight. I've been waiting, hoping it stays clear, and it has. Hope y'all are doing well. Pulling up the chat right here. What's up, Bon Dia? What's up, Super Must See? Justin, Easy E, Light Moon. Tonight. I'm just gonna wait till some people join. I'm just setting up right here. Got the 11-inch going, got the A6.5 with the extender tube, so it's the really wide shot. And it's a nice haze around the moon, but it looks pretty clear. Got some new tunes for y'all, and I have some articles pulled up. I was looking up at the Chandrayaan 2 missions, the ISRO rover going to the moon. Pretty typical, almost no shots, which really sucks. You're gonna have to forgive me, my throat's a little bit dry tonight. I want to say sore, but it's not really sore, it's just like I've been singing and last night's show kind of took it out of me. But I will not miss a good night if we can do it. What's up, everybody? What's up, Vicky, Dr. Michael, Morgello, Timothy Martin? What's up? Just grooving here. It looks really nice. Super crispy. You know that's what I like. Tell me what the weather is like where y'all are at. Can you see it for yourselves? It's got a nice, almost orange hue to it, I feel like. It's really nice that the storms moved out just for a day. It's getting us down. Evening. I'll do a quick little zoom in, see what the quality is like. Like I said, 88% illuminated, coming in right over. Where are we at? Sea of Serenity, Tranquility. I feel like maybe I could focus a little better. Probably just some of the atmospherics since it's still rising. Yeah, a bit wibbly. Matthew Fields, what's up? Says clear and hot here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Shout outs. Gonna grab some chocolate. Chocolate sounds good. PPP. Matthew says, I wish I had your tech, makes me sick. It's all cascading, man. Always somebody's got better gear than the next guy. I've learned to just stay away from other people's channels that I can't stand. I'm like, man, one day I'll afford that stuff. No, I'm kidding. I've learned to actually be happy for other people who have great tech, because it's just going to be one of those things, you know, nobody's going to have enough, like, not nobody. But it's a tough thing to have enough money to buy all the things you ever want. In fact, I've been lucky. I've been able to buy a lot of things I want, but there's always something else around the horizon, around the corner, like a solar scope. And I was like, oh, let me look at what the Lunt systems cost. And it's like $6,000 to $12,000. So I'm like, yep, no freaking way. What up, Timeless Dimensions? Yeah, it definitely has an orange kind of reddish tint to it right now, even though, yeah, it's beautiful. It has that kind of waning crescent feel, that 4 in the morning look, although it's only 11:28. All right, so a few more peeps coming in. Maybe Ellie will show up, and I'm gonna play this jam I wrote today for y'all, something new. Excuse me, coughing pretty bad today, but I wrote this track in 5/8, which I've never been able to write in that time signature before, or at least fluidly. So I'm pretty happy with it. It's just a demo, but excited to play it for y'all. Coming up shortly. All right, so let me zoom around a little bit. Sea of Serenity, Tranquility. Little birdie, Posidonius, center frame. I'm gonna say that's, actually I'm just gonna pull up my atlas. Atlas. I thought so. So funny. Hercules and Atlas. Alright, where's OBS? There we go. So there's two very prominent craters right near the Terminator at the top right corner. Atlas and Titan. Atlas and Hercules. Atlas and Titan. My mind's elsewhere. Alright, let's keep moving through Mare Frigoris. Plato, Valles Alpes, Sinus Iridum. I'm just doing a quick one right now. What's up, Aristarchus? Copernicus, Kepler, looking very diamond-like. Cassendi, Nectaris, Alright, jumping in the chat. Timeless Dimension says, I caught it as it was coming up on the East Coast. It was red like I've never seen before. We live on the water and get a beautiful view of the sunrise and the moon as it hits the horizon. That sounds awesome. Where are you at, Timeless? Scott Wagner, what's going on? Says, quick question. I just streamed an object that was seen from stereo A. An object between Earth and the Sun heading into the Sun out the backside just happened last 48 hours. No planet in between. I don't know. Could it be a comet? Or is it a star? I'm not so sure. I haven't actually checked. You're talking about the Soho stuff? I assume we cannot see it because the sun is so bright. I'm making a short clip of just that incident. Yeah, I'm sure there are a ton of incidents like that. I don't actually track the sun very much. I would like to, but there's too much, not enough time really. And there's a lot of data going on. I'm probably going to ramp up once the weather gets a bit clearer towards November Mercury transit, but you'd know better than I what that was. Oh nice, Chesapeake in Maryland. Alright. I think I know where that is. Pretty rad. Have the storms chilled for y'all? Because it's been crazy down here in Tampa. Just the craziest electrical, long full day storms. I'm just excited for October when it gets clearer and nicer. Be able to sit outside and not have a freaking meltdown. Everything's so hot right now. A little bit of Tycho. Alright, let's get back to wide shot. Alright, there we go, centered the moon. Quick shout out to all the EU people. Gonna give a quick run through of the people in the description. Electric TerraVision, Greg J, Electric Universe Eyes, The Electric View, Kronos, See the Pattern, Suspicious Observers, Thunderbolts Project, of course, Research Halton ARP, Research Sky Scholar, and many others. Anthony Peratt, Emmanuel Velikovsky. The particular pentagon geometry tonight is Sea of Serenity, I'm going to put up a label, and you can kind of see it's very, very clear up top. So you can see Mare Serenitatis. If you just follow the edges of this C or feature, you'll see that it just really has these sharp edges and defined points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm sure there are a couple more, but like that's what it really looks like in when you squint. Could be a hexagon though. Alright, new track time. So this is one called Sun 5, Moon 8. Premiere right now. there's a new one. Pulled that one together today. I've been trying to write in a different time signature. I've done a few songs in 3/4 before, but and some in 6/8, but nothing in 5/8. So that's a first. Anyway, working on it. This is a new one where I took a little bit of Alan Watts talking and put it over one of my tracks. This is a short one, but let's keep going while I do a zoomed in shot. So just pulled up Sea of Serenity, Mare Serenitatis, and you can see very, very clearly how interesting the geometry is here. And for those who haven't heard, I'm referencing that simply because you have this idea of impact being really the reason you have features on the moon, impact cratering or heavy bombardment and volcanism, versus this idea of electrical discharge cratering, creating hexagons, pentagons, and very implicit geometry on the moon at every scale. At the very top, you can see Posidonius crater with its flat floors and striations. We'll do a zoomed in shot later. But yeah, here's a new one called Romulus Swats.
If you want life, don't cling. Let go. How can I desire not to desire? How can I surrender myself when myself is precisely an urge to hold on, to cling to life, to continue to survive? I may be like a person who has a bad habit, as a result of which he is committing suicide. He knows that, but can't give it up, because the means of death are so sweet. The way the world actually is an enormously complex, interrelated organism. People undergoing shock, people locked in the colorless, monotonous corridors of mental institute. If you want life, don't cling. Is that if you are really aware of your own inner working, we didn't have some campaign to have an improved brain. When you see that there's nothing else, there's nothing else. If you want life, don't cling.
Alright, if you want life, don't cling to it. Alan Watts really had just a plethora of wonderful phrases, things that make you think. So I got Aristarchus, Copernicus, and Kepler in view. Just I wanted to note something. So, I don't know if y'all can see it direct on screen, directly center of screen, I mean, that there's a very sharp kind of diamond shape that almost mimics Aristarchus. And I'm kind of thinking, have I ever seen this before? I feel weird, possibly, maybe I've seen it before, but I'm gonna mess with the contrast here. Alright, that's better. Thomas Dimension says that last song was smooth. Smooth man, it put my daughter fast to sleep. Well done, sir. It's pretty funny. I guess it has multiple purposes. Also, Alan Watts definitely puts you in that lullaby state. So let's see if I can see, if y'all can see this very sharp point right in the center. And in fact, if I kind of line it up with the arrow at the top of the screen, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So just note right here, you'll follow that little white rabbit, little white arrow at the very top of the screen, and you'll see like a little point that mimics it right underneath, and then trace that out to the size of Aristarchus. I'm trying to adjust the contrast here, maybe you can see it a bit better. It's nuts. I guess there's a crater right in the center of it, but it's like, it almost looks like overlapping crystal shapes, right? Like a sharp diamond, sharp square, and then another one inside it, and then another crater inside that. What do you think in the chat room? Let me see. Oh, the 5/8 song, sweet. Yeah, that one's like real kind of a meditative. When you do different time signatures, you kind of get in that mantra. I played it so many times today trying to work out all those little riffs. Yeah, so hit me in the chat if you see this diamond shape that almost looks like the shape of Aristarchus right in the center of your screen to the left of Copernicus. Actually, I'll just put up the names of the craters and we can reference it. It doesn't seem to be coming up in the atlas as its own thing, but we shall see. Duplicate this. How do I do that? Copy. Paste reference, there we go. So that's like Copernicus. Kepler right here. Yeah. Right here. Alright, so, damn, are they all the same one? God damn it. They're not all Kepler. Alright, how do we do this? Paste, duplicate. Let's try this again. This is the other computer, so I don't have any of the labels from before. I'm doing them all anew. Let's see. Copernicus, there we go. Aristarchus. Damn it. Sloppy tonight. Alright, there we go. So now I can tell you that to look between Aristarchus and Copernicus, and I'm going to check the... Oh no, I was just saying duplicate. I was just joking because in OBS when you copy and paste the label, it says paste as duplicate or duplicate. Duplicate's not in the chat, I don't think. Okay, so that's working now. And I'm trying to look on this atlas to see what this other crater to the left of Copernicus is. I'm going pretty slow tonight. Okay, so this is T. Mayer, which is interesting. I don't know why, like, it's the first time I've really referenced it, but that's goes to show like how crazy it is that you can do all these different shows for so many years and still not reference certain items. A lot more to come. So T. Mayer is a small crater, 34 kilometers. I'm gonna put a label on it, but also you don't see this kind of diamond that we're seeing right here around it. But that doesn't matter. I keep forgetting to turn it off. Alright, anyway. So T. Mayer. Alright, so the triangle that I'm looking at is around T. Mayer. Not triangle, it's actually like, if you see the shape of Aristarchus to the left, it's kind of basically like a rectangle on its side, on its point, so it's a diamond. And so I'm looking at T. Mayer, or John Mayer, and if you follow the label right here directly up, you'll see it comes to a point. Actually, I'll just put the label right to the right of the point. I think it could be pareidolia, but it also really is standing out to me, especially if you follow the left side of the triangle at the top. Timeless Dimensions makes a great comment. It says, the whole picture together looks like deep space with many galaxies and stars around it. I totally agree. Copernicus always reminds me of kind of nebular clusters and little stars on the filaments. Imprinted fractals over and over. It's just amazing. I wanted to talk about this theory because, you know, I'm always rah-rah about electric hexagon craters and pentagonal craters, but somebody made a great point about how potentially the forms on the moon formed in water and not necessarily all due to kind of electrical arcing. But I don't have a lot of details on it. It was just one of those comments really in the Thunderbolts video. And I was just wondering, I was like, man, that is actually not a bad comment, because this idea that, you know, like crystal growth, actually that's what I wanted to do, now I remember. So I found the video that I wanted to share with y'all about crystals from the 50s or 60s. I put it in one of my playlists, so I'm gonna quickly find it for y'all. And I'm going to remove these labels here. Alright, 1958, Alan Holden. Whoa, link incoming. Cough Copy. Alright, so this is Alan Holden just basically creating crystals in a laboratory, talking about how really the structure of crystal lattices and the formation of these geometric structures that we see on the moon, very similar to these crystals, at least in my opinion. So it provides a little bit more depth on that in terms of laboratory experiments with crystals. I haven't seen a lot of that, actually. And it's just getting hotter and hotter right here. And the moon's getting glowier. So I'm gonna take a little stretch so I don't sit too long. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Coming in on midnight over here. Let's put something else that's new. Alright, y'all. I don't know, it looks pretty cloudy now. Somehow just all moved in at once. It is moon day already. It's a fun night tonight. Good vibes all around. Timeless Dimensions, take it easy. Thanks for hopping on tonight. I'm definitely tired, that's for sure, but I got a whole bunch of links pulled up. Maybe I'll talk about them for a second while this moon goes through some cloudage. I was really looking forward to seeing some pictures from the ISRO Indian lunar mission, which is supposed to inject into lunar orbit, I think tomorrow or the day after. Yeah, tomorrow being Tuesday. And yeah, I hope we get some footage from that, but it doesn't seem like there's anything. It always looks so strange when you look it up. If you type in ISRO, ISRO news, or moon news, or ISRO moon news on Google, you'll find a whole bunch of articles. The closest one that seems like they even have a shot of the moon in the article is the Chandrayaan-2 to enter moon orbit around 9:30 a.m. tomorrow. And the thing about this one is just like the low budget quality to it. It just has a really strange image, almost like, I don't know, just a really poor shot. But it says that it's going to happen, and so I'll be watching, seeing maybe if we can see anything at all. I don't think we will, but perhaps. Moon peakage. Come on, moon peakage. So yeah, Chandrayaan-2 headed to the moon. Let's see if we got images. Then what else? Striking gamma image ray. It reveals how the moon is brighter than our sun. So there's apparently that the moon has some radiation coming off it that is more powerful than the sun at certain spectrums. I don't know, this is just a strange article coming. Basically, it says that the Fermi Gamma Ray Space Telescope captured images of the moon's gamma rays. So essentially Fermi is the old CERN, or Large Hadron Collider, I think the States version of it. Or the United States version of it, and I guess they took a picture of the moon using a certain type of spectroscopy machine, electromagnetic spectrum, the Fermi Gamma Ray Space Telescope, which is, I want to say I've heard of it before, but I really haven't. It says Decade of Gamma Ray Discoveries. So maybe I'm wrong. Fermi Labs I thought was a Hadron Collider in the States. Damn. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Fermi is a space telescope. So the universe is home to numerous exotic and beautiful phenomena, some of which can generate almost inconceivable amounts of energy. supermassive black holes, etc., etc. The Fermi Gamma Ray Space Telescope, formerly glassed, is opening this high-energy world to exploration, helping us answer these questions. Okay, I guess I was wrong. So Fermi is a space telescope. It's not the actual Fermi Labs. I guess it's just synonymous with it. Probably same people. Physicists are able to study subatomic particles at energies far greater. Yeah, so it is part of the particle accelerator program. I don't know, man. This is kind of convoluted. It's just like, I guess they launched a space telescope as well, in addition to having a local kind of, what is it, one of those tracks where they blast particles around circles and smash them together, the atom smashers. So the local collider, the Fermilab collider, is not the same as this telescope, but I guess they launched a telescope and the moon is very radiant. But I love these articles that really don't give you any other context besides just these kind of headlines. Hard to analyze. Another one, NASA chief alienates senators needed to fund the moon program. So Jim Bridenstine talking to these different politicians, and this came out 8/16. And so just the end of the article really is, where is it? The deal is the worst of all worlds. One senior aerospace official who's not tied to either Alabama or the Texas Center said, this sets up an epic battle between Marshall Space Flight Center and Johnson Space Center regarding budgets, mass, and schedule. The whole thing was done wrong. Instead of accelerating a lunar landing, the source said the division of work is likely leading to more delays. So this is the first of many articles that I cynically expect to see in this whole kind of charade up to 2024, where they plan on going to the moon and yet end up canceling the missions. But it'll be amazing to see it if it happens. More tunes. I've had a pretty cynical day, I'll be honest, looking at all the news that's going on, just thinking, like, how nice would it be if you had articles that had actual discoveries in them, you know, things where scientists were truly making discoveries every day and focusing on things that people were really interested in. Instead, it's completely backwards. But I'm doing it here as much as possible. All right, I'm looking for a new track. What about this one? Oh, people showed up in the chat room. What's going on, Shockwave? How you doing? What's up, Jen Perry? Oh, damn, I missed a lot. Okay, let's see. I think it's the humidity, man. My head is just freaking melted. I'm barely moving. I feel like I'm talking at like a snail's pace right here. Oh yeah, feeling good about the vibe. Heard a little about this. Geometry, the math of nature, says Shockwave. New visual cloud formations. Jen Perry. Fastpace says, you know Israel crashed, where I asked about, what do you think about this? Yeah, the whole thing about the tardigrades, the little microbiomes that they crashed into the moon. I don't know. I think it's just really, it sucks because there's not a lot of information about it. It's the same story regurgitated through all the different news outlets about it. I don't want to sit and read these articles. I tend to start reading them and I feel like an idiot doing it. But it's kind of, yeah, I think the moon needs as much protection as possible and as much discussion as possible and transparency in terms of what these programs are doing and crashing into the moon and setting up shop on the moon. But we don't even have the slightest clue as to what's really happening, I think. So that could be just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what they show publicly, and then in private there are other missions that are doing much more advanced things going to the moon easily. Or, you know, for example, this Chandrayaan-2 thing that's going to the moon that should be there right now, why is that not broadcasting back live imagery right now of Earth and the moon? It's just crazy to me that at the same time as you can achieve this incredible technological marvel you can't somehow document it. It's just crazy. Scott Wagner says Fermilab is 20 miles from my town in Illinois. Cool, man. When I first got into the whole idea of like quantum mechanics, I really looked into the whole Fermilabs thing. I wanted to visit, but I never did. Man, there's no moonage at all. Let's see. That's crazy. I thought yeah, I know it's a particle accelerator, and then it's also a space telescope for some reason as well, which I feel like, I think I heard, but I don't think I, like looking at it, reading that little page, it just doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I'm just too cracked out right now. I'm not cracked out. Let's see. Ellie Wynn, what's happening? You showed up, sweet. Got a new track that I can play for y'all again. What else? Squatter Man. What is that? The Jewish candle. Damn, man. I want to say Minotaur. It's not a Minotaur. A menorah, right? A Jewish Minotaur. What's up, David Schmidt? The Jewish menorah is the Squatter Man. Google Israel Antiquities Institute. 24/7. Lunar ticks. What's happening? Dude, man, so many people just showed up all of a sudden. Sweet. Yeah, so we're struggling here with some clouds, but I'm gonna play all this new tune just for the sake of it. Why not? Maybe the moon will rejoin us. up, everybody? Alright, alright. Let's see. What's up, Toxic Waste? What's I don't know, I thought somebody else joined. Maybe I missed it. Alright, so yeah, the whole binocular telescope, that is just an incredible feat of technological achievement. And they can see, what is it, like a 400-inch scope or some combined with the two scopes. Man, I can barely speak tonight. Let me just look up the scope again. The large binocular binocular scope. Alright, the Large Binocular Telescope is an optical telescope for astronomy located on 10,700-foot Mount Graham in the Pinaleno Mountains of southeastern Arizona, the U.S. It is a part of the Mount Graham International Observatory. The Large Binocular Telescope is currently one of the world's most advanced optical telescopes, using two 8.4 330-inch wide mirrors with centers 14.4 meters apart. It has the same light gathering ability as an 11.8 meter 464-inch wide single circular telescope. So that's what I think I was remembering, but yeah, 464-inch. For comparison, we're looking at it at the moon right now through an 11-inch. So I bet they see pretty remarkable things. But you're saying special entities, secret entities. It's possible. I leave room for everything. But I feel like the human is so advanced and incredible that it's just enough for me to ponder upon, beyond thinking that there are aliens or other creatures. Just some fish, though. I mean, damn, there are some creatures in the ocean that are just way more advanced than humans. And there are certainly animals that are way cuter than humans. Every day I'm bombarded with cute animal videos, and it just occupies part of my day. Recently, wombats. So another thing I was looking up was the earliest record documentation of the moon. That's one of those questions that if you look up on Google, you'll find a whole bunch of random assortments of answers to it, but none of them really official. And it's, I think, a very interesting question to ask, which is, you know, when is the earliest record possible that we can find of mankind referencing the moon at all? Because we do have the earliest picture, which is, I think, 1851. There's probably something earlier than that, but really, like, as soon as you get past the first two links, it turns into full conspiracy land, which is fine. But Quora says, what are the earliest records of the moon? And the top answer says, the moon has obviously been known and observed by humans since prehistory. It's like the sun in that way. Gods were invented to explain it, people noted down its phases, and myths sprang up around it. The moon is as timeless as the ground upon which we walk. The first modern human that ever lived would have seen it, noted its existence, and then remembered it on subsequent nights. I believe the Babylonians were first to take a serious astronomical interest in it, but every culture in history has at least acknowledged its existence. I mean, it's the freaking moon. So, while it's a very funny and interesting answer, the one right after it links to the conspiracy article or which I think is a very interesting article, probably not a conspiracy, but it links to the Earth without the moon, which kind of comes up in a lot of different forms when you search this question. What's going on, Rockstar? So the moon's back, but it's quite hazy. All right, I'm looking up this stuff because I'm interested in it, and let me know what you think of it, of course. But yeah, so Cora says that's the top answer, so it's really just this guy's opinion. There's no real science behind it. The next answer to that is Jason Saylor, owner and operator at Excavation, says the Earth without the moon. And he references this whole page that I already had up, which is when the Earth was moonless. There are a couple of different ones. Let me see, I have them all pulled up at the same time. I want to find some other kind of legit pop science answers first, though. What is the first recorded reference to the moon being a satellite of Earth? This is on Stack Exchange. Astronomy Beta says, I saw a list recently of the moons of the various planets and the discoverers and date of discovery. Earth's moon was listed as unknown. I know you don't discover a huge disk in the sky, but still, what is the first recorded reference to the moon being a satellite of Earth? That someone knew it is smaller and orbiting. Celestial sphere does not count. So that's a great question, asked 3 years and 3 months ago. So the first answer to that says the moon's orbital period was probably the second thing that ancient farmers figured out, the sun being the first. Babylonians had discovered the lunar saros by 1000 BC. What's a saro? The saros is a period of exactly 223 synodic months, approximately 6,585 days. So, where was I? So Babylonians had discovered the first lunar saros by 1000 BC. As far as who had the original idea that Earth was the center of the Earth-Moon system, it came during the Middle Ages. Galileo. It's ever so small. Alright, that's better. So I'm just reading through some answers here. It says, after that goes, east of Jupiter, long before that Aristotle had proposed that the moon and 54 other things orbited the Earth. Or more precisely, there are 55 crystalline spheres surrounding the Earth that everything was attached to, and the moon was on number 1. I'm not sure why the original poster wants to specifically exclude this. What's going on, David Schmidt? Oh, let me scroll up a little bit. I think Shockwave is saying, no, the moon was captured in 2300 BC. The Greeks tell us of a people called the Arcadians that did not know of a moon. Yeah, I was just going to get to that. And then there were the Selenites, right? And the pre-Selenites. I'll look up the Arcadians in a second. Alright, so I'm done with the pop sci stuff. Let's look at the moon, Arcadians. Yeah, the Earth without the moon is the top link I constantly run into. I'll read a little bit of this. The Earth without the moon. The period when the Earth was moonless is probably one of the most let me try this again. The period when the Earth was moonless is probably the most remote recollection of mankind. Democritus and Anaxagoras taught that there was a time when the earth was without the moon. Aristotle wrote that Arcadia in Greece, before being inhabited by the Hellenes, had a population of Pelasgians, and that these aborigines occupied the land already before there was a moon in the sky above earth. For this reason, they were called the Proselines. Apollonius of Rhodes mentioned the time when not all the orbs were yet in the heavens, before the Danae and Deucalion races came into existence, and only the Arcadians lived, of whom it is said that they dwelt on mountains and fed on acorns, before there was a moon. Plutarch wrote in the Roman Questions, there were Arcadians of Vandar's following, the so-called pre-lunar people. Similarly, wrote Ovid, the Arcadians are said to have possessed their land before the birth of Jove, and the folk is older than the moon. Hippolytus refers to the legend that Arcadia brought forth Pelasgus, of greater antiquity than the moon. Lucian, in his astrology, says, the Arcadians affirm in their folly that they are older than the moon. Censorinus also alludes to the time in the past when there was no moon in the sky. Come back into the chat room. It's in ancient Greek literature, Arcadians. I'll keep going here just a little bit. Some allusions to the time before there was a moon may be found also in the scriptures. In Job 25:5, the grandeur of the Lord who makes peace in the heights is praised, and the time is mentioned before there was a moon and it did not shine. Also in Psalm 72:5, it is said, thou wast feared since the time of the sun? Come back. In the time, where are we? Thou wast feared since the time of the sun and before the time of the moon, a generation of generations. A generation of generations means a very long time. Of course, it is of no use to counter this psalm with the myth of the first chapter of Genesis, a tale brought down from exotic and later sources. The memory of a world without the moon lives in oral tradition among the Indians. The Indians of the Bogota Highlands in the eastern Cordilleras of Colombia relate some of their tribal reminiscences to the time before there was a moon. In the earliest times, when the moon was not yet in the heavens, said the tribesmen of the Chibchas. There are currently 3 theories on the origin of the moon. 1. The moon originated at the same time as Earth, being formed substantially from the same material, aggregating and solidifying. 2. The moon was formed not in the vicinity of Earth, but in a different part of the solar system, and was later captured by Earth. 3. The moon was originally a portion of the terrestrial crust and was torn out, leaving behind the bed of the Pacific. All 3 theories claim the presence of the moon on an orbit around the Earth for billions of years. Mythology may supply each of these views with some support. Genesis 1 for the first view, the birth of Aphrodite from the sea of the third view, Aphrodite's origin in the disruption of Uranus and the violence of sign, the Babylonian moon, seems to support the second view. And there's a bunch more. So, pull up a little tune, take a little break. Becomes very meditative reading, but when you realize you're online to the world, orating at night, across all lines. I'm glad we have some moonage tonight. There's a lot of thoughts in there, but I'm not going to dissect them right now. Suffice to say, I'm going to just dump the link for y'all in the chat. This is the first thing that comes up when you look up Earth before the moon. I wish there was more. Actually, I know what I was trying to find earlier. There's a reference to the moon being called Nebra, which is actually interesting. I can't find it. Oh, there it is. No. It's in one of these texts. I'll just type in moon Nebra. Alright, interesting. This is the Nebra sky disk. This came up somewhere in my research today. He says I have to drum on all three cats for this tune. That's really funny. I take it you're drumming on their bellies. I saw a very cute video today. I always see these animal videos, but somebody was raising golden raccoons and making them twirl around, and they're just begging like little children. Sometimes I watch birds and cats and you see this extremely humanistic behavior. You wonder if either we're all the same consciousness or animals are actually evolving to become like us while we're on our way out or up. I know it sounds arrogant to think that we'll evolve into more impressive creatures, but that's possible. I think there's room for everything. So it's pretty cloudy, but at least we're seeing it. Better than nothing. Furry belly drum, hell yeah. So I was just looking up some of the Nebra stuff. Nebra came through and when I was looking up the origin of the moon. Well, it's not on this astronomy site, it is... Alright, I don't know, there's so many different links open, I can't really find the Nebra reference that I wanted to. But this seems to be the oldest photo of the moon. Although I don't want to post something that, yeah, it says history porn. Damn. Alright, I'm not going to post that. I found it, here it is. This is another one. It says, scariest book of all time. It says, no moon prior to 11,713 years ago. When was the moon put up there? It's a question a child would ask, but nobody on this planet can answer it. You think the moon has been up there billions of years? Don't believe it. Where are the moon's meteorites? The total amount of moon meteorites found on Earth documented by mainstream science is only 13.2 pounds, which is about the same number of pounds of Mars meteorites found on Earth. Don't you think that if the moon had been up there billions of years, as our academics want us to believe, that there would be more than 13.2 pounds of moon tektites found on Earth? The moon has more craters on it than Mars. It is many thousands of times closer to the Earth than Mars. It practically has no atmosphere and less gravity than Mars, so the chances of liquefied debris splattered on the surface of the moon are millions of times greater than debris making its way to Earth from Mars. Mainstream scientists want us to believe that the moon has been up there for billions of years. Who wrote this, man? It's just real snarky, but I totally understand that attitude because it's always like settled science, moons have been there billions of years, don't question, don't ask. I'm gonna post you all this link as well. It's just funny. This is also one of the top links that comes up when you search history or first known record of the moon. It's just so crazy that something so important and so prominent in our skies is so poorly researched and poorly understood at this current state. Even though we're staring at it right now, we have entire scientific communities searching for invisible particles and exoplanets that we can never reach, and they don't know exactly where the moon came from. There's not a proper documentary from an official source, quote-unquote official source, that shows the entire history of the moon from origin point to now. So it's pretty daunting a task, I think, for anyone to do, but we're starting to do some of that work here. I'm still such an infant in the understanding of all of this and just taking it all in. But I think the first part is kind of getting some observational evidence and understanding space up close. Shocker is saying the moon rings like a bell and is hollow. I think that's very, very possible. But then Shockwave explained to me how, I don't know, it seems like the electric view kind of admits, agrees with the moon missions. And I think, that's definitely possible. But why hide all the plasma science? Or at least why obfuscate all this stuff right now, even? I guess I'm asking, just because I feel like the conspiracies are just floating around and they are not as transparent as they could be. And so I understand why people are suspicious of NASA, to be honest. I mean, I watch it every day. You see the Twitter feeds, you see the accomplishments, you see the recap missions, you see the technology. It seems like something else is going on. I don't think they're ETs, that's for sure. I don't want to say for sure, actually. I'm not going to say for sure. There might be extraterrestrials, but I don't think there are extraterrestrials, personally. Or at least not humanoids. I mean, I think that the planets are actually alive and the stars are alive and the plasma is alive. But in a way, I feel like everything in space is part of our consciousness as humans. Shockwave says, NASA left seismographs on the moon. Yeah, but I don't know, the easy answer to that is Operation Moon Bounce, but at the same time, maybe they put retroreflectors up there. I can't really argue that because I can't tell for sure. I don't have a laser powerful enough, and I don't have anything to capture the return beam to tell you which photons came back from the retroreflectors. So, but at the same time, there were Operation Moon Bounce, and I'm sure other missions where you bounce lasers and communications off the moon 10 to 20 years before anything landed on the moon. But it's not even kind of picking apart the moon mission conspiracies or non-conspiracies. It's more that we live in a current space paradigm where our space program is not transparent. And the government is not transparent. So I don't understand why there's so much faith in it. It's so funny. Let's see. Damn, there's a lot of chat going on. I'm just reading through some of this. Jen Perry says, maybe we have reptilian, mammalian, other parts of DNA. American Life Videos H, tuning on my lunch break. What's up? How you doing? Good to see ya. Man, oh man. Let's see what else. Oh, there's a lot going on after that. What's up, Fresh 75? Moon is its own light. Oh, that's the flat Earth stuff. The moon is definitely bright. I don't think it's its own light. Definitely a reflector of some sort. No ETs living inside yet. Seismographs. Sisters of Isis. NASA wrote the Book of Psalms, first word in most of them, NASA, meaning from NASA. That's interesting. I never read that before. Never heard that before. Shockwave says lasers don't have anything to do with leaving seismographs. They do. Oh, you're right. Sorry, seismographs. Sorry, the moonquakes, not the retroreflectors. My bad. Right, lasers don't have anything to do with it. You're right. They detect movements in the ground. When they crash the ship, it rang like a bell for hours. True. I don't think that you can't send craft to the moon. I definitely think you can send little robotic craft all over the place. I just wonder, can humans actually walk on the surface of the moon? Is more of the question. But that also could be possible, and I could be totally wrong about questioning it. Yeah, sorry about that. I totally misread what you're talking about. I definitely think, yeah, but so tell me, so if NASA thinks that it rang like a bell, thinks that it's hollow, has seismographs, then why do we have a lithosphere, which is, here, I'll show me, explain this diagram to me. So is it empty? Or is it really this kind of liquid, solid lithosphere, which is the majority of the moon's weight? Alright, there's other stuff going on. Lady mission, Earth without the moon. Alright, some more jams. Shockwave, I don't wanna, it's not a personal thing. If you saw it, then you saw it and you believe it. It's not trying to take it away from you. It happened. It's just that you can't tell me that we live in like a system right now where you completely have faith in the space program, or if you do, then that's fine too. I mean, there's something really different about the people who run the space program right now and how it's associated with budgets and politics in ways that don't make any sense at all for space exploration. And even people who completely buy into it and who run these YouTube channels are also questioning why the delay on everything, why there's no funding, or the funding is always reinterpreted as the people don't want to fund NASA. That's just the most ridiculous thing to me. But it's not a personal attack on anybody. If people believe that the moon missions were super duper real, then they were, then it's fine, you know? For me, it's an astounding feat that is really yada yada as war posturing. Oh, it was one of those things that we just did. It was the war, we just did that thing. We went to the moon, you know, like we walked around a bunch, took some samples, came home, like super easy, guys. And now like it's this impossibly difficult technical thing that like NASA can't do. So, and Elon Musk can't do, and Jeff Bezos can't do, and Richard Branson can't do, and ESR, what's it called? JAXA can't do, and ISRO can barely send a rover there, and what is it called? ESA, the space, right? European Space Agency, they can't get to the moon. So I don't know. It seems weird, doesn't it? I mean, that's crazy to me. Just from a very non-conspiratorial vantage point, it just seems like, really? You went to the moon in 69, 71, 72, footage, called the president, played golf, dropped a hammer, went through a bunch of stuff, and then today, impossible to do. And it's because there's no will. That's the other joke. It's like, we lack will. Whose will? Like, which will? If they want it to go, they go. There's so much money. I mean, they make movies that are $200 million. You're telling me you couldn't, I think the argument would go, there's no money in it. There's no money in it. They would have gone if there was money in it. But it's so silly because if you actually went to the moon, you don't think you could generate profits off of marketing and movies and, you know, telescope viewings of actually live streaming the moon. Just the channel alone, streaming the rocket going to the moon with new people on it, would just get enough revenue to fund the mission itself. You'd have billions of people tuning in. Millions of people tuning in. At least 100 million people would tune in. You know, if you actually had people going to a freaking moon. Yeah, I don't know. Just the same way it was back then, it would be the same thing now, and yet it's treated as if the public doesn't give a shit, and that's wrong, and that funding is attributed to the public, and that's also wrong. And somehow NASA doesn't want to go, but they do. But it takes forever, and then Elon Musk doesn't want to go, but he wants to go to Mars, which is 50 million miles away, and, you know, 10-fold, 100-fold harder. Yeah, see, they can do it, they just lack the will. What is that? Like, whose will? What? I mean, I'm not really trying to be funny, I'm laughing because it sounds funny. Yeah. Do they lack the will, so now they don't, so you're saying they don't want to go? Or they do want to go now? But anyway, Chakra says, so if the plasmoid at its center is not active, there would be space in the center of the moon, not a cooling metal core. NASA does not know they contradict themselves all the time. Hey, Starlight Spectrum, how am I this fucking late? That's pretty funny. Got a little bit longer to go. I'm getting a little bit tired here, but just going as long as the windowsill allows me, which is a bit longer. Hey, don't be livid, it's all good. You made it. Alright, Fast Pace throws me another one, says, wanted to beat Russia, but all they know we didn't. Okay, so same thing. So you're saying that this feat of engineering, of like radiation shielding, of getting humans for the first time, you know, after like the shortest period of time from announcing that they would go to going, under all odds, getting to the moon, and all these astronauts living till they were like 80s and 90s, and living on the first mission and walking out and coming back, and you're saying that they did it just to posture in wartime. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It never has, like that. It just, it's not like, some feat of war machinery. Like, oh, they built a huge tank. No, they went to the moon, you know? Or, oh, they built this crazy bomber. No, they went to the moon and came back. You know, it's always the moon. The moon is just this astounding level, like 10,000-fold X million times more powerful and more difficult and more impossible thing to achieve. And yet it's used as this kind of thing. They'd never do it again. Why? They already beat the Russians. That's just like, it really never makes any sense to me. I mean, if you take it further. What's up, Duplicate? How's it going? And yeah, there's a lot of other things. I'm not hung up on the conspiracy of it. If they went on like plasma ion engines and you know, you tune the frequency of your spacecraft to like a Birkeland current, and they know all about Birkeland currents, like, yeah, totally possible. I don't want to sound like an idiot being like, oh yeah, there's no way they can do it. Yeah, there's total way. But the way it's happened in the public media with like the 60s cameras and the no shielding and the no pressurized suits and the all the, like, forget the lights and the cameras and the flag waving and Stanley Kubrick and all the other things, just the radiation alone. The fact that not the Van Allen radiation belts either, just the entire radiation situation, and the fact that there was almost zero shielding at all, is one of the huge ones. And then the other one is really just the fact that it's irreplicable. No technology on Earth in mankind ever in any other context has not been replicated. It's like saying, oh, America won the first marathon, therefore no more marathons. I mean, it really is like that. Or America built a plane, so therefore no more planes. Why try? And people just get along and move along with that. Like, oh, the Russians would have. Why would? I've seen 100 videos. I've seen like 5 videos that explain why the Russians didn't go to the moon, and none of them include the wheat deal that the Russians had. None of them include the fact that we work with the Russians on the space program. None of them include the fact that the Russians absolutely would have sent men to the moon if they could. And I don't know. In what's up, Buried Axeblade? How's it going? What's up, Silent Spectrum? It says, I was just listening to Island Dream on Bandcamp and something told me to come check YouTube. Love that song. Thank you. I appreciate it. Anyway, I always get deep into that moon stuff, not because I want it to be fake, because I want it to be real, but we live in a system where time goes on. Another year is going to go by and we're still not going back to the moon. I thought about it today, I'm like, damn, I'm pretty cynical, huh? But we'll see. I'd like to be proven wrong. 921 Virgo says Capricorn 1. That is a very interesting story. Oh, another one of those Apollo excuses is, it would have been easier to go to the moon than to fake it. I mean, really, I just want to, those are the types of comments and YouTube videos that I want to respond to so desperately. And then of course I don't, because I would never get to that level. But really, those types of comments are just crazy, because no, it would definitely not be easier to go to the moon than it would be to actually fake it in a studio. 100%. Shockwave says, while cosmic radiation is a problem, it's the same as the radiation on Earth. The risk is cumulative. The levels were low enough that the missions of 1 to 2 weeks at this level did not pose a big health risk. Shockwave, you give me all the great information, but that sounds like like word for word stuff that I've heard from NASA sites. Like, and I've heard a lot of different versions of that. I've heard interpretations of that, and I can't tell one way or another. But I can say that I've read so many articles about deadly, unknown radiation anomalies and effects, and then at the same time I've read that they're completely harmless. And I've also read that Van Allen thought they were deadly Van Allen radiation belts, and then I read that he went back on that. And so there are a lot of different opinions there, but I don't know. I think people, I know that there are some people who are really drawn, like I'm drawn, and I understand the kind of, what is it, the conspiracies are enticing to talk about, and they're intriguing, and we have a life filled with kind of mundanity, and conspiracies are interesting. But at the same time, conspiracies do exist, and just for the simple notion that, you know, businesses make decisions and they lie to you about products all the time. And so NASA is selling a product, and why wouldn't they lie about their products? That's sort of what I'm saying. So I don't understand why it's an immediate defense to the fact that, like, trust me, they went, versus, you know, like, yeah, why don't they go again? We do pay taxes, and the technology should be much better right now. Even the fact that we have technology that must be turned off during, you know, going through radiation belts, even though it's a lot more sensitive, you should be able to replicate a feat that happened 50 years ago. And no other country seems to even be able to come close. Like, Israel can't guarantee a lander. This Indian lander doesn't have any type of documentation on it. Like, it's crazy that they don't have a streaming camera from this ISRO rover. I mean, do you have an answer for that? Does anyone think that that's weird, or is it just me? Because I think, like, it's just simply insane that you can launch something that's literally going to land on the freaking moon, but you can't put a camera that sends back live footage to Earth at the same time. Like, there's one picture of Earth that it sent 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, and now it's about to enter lunar orbit, and there's zero footage, like zero. Does that make any sense? And then people in the chats, or people in the comments of the rover, are just like applauding it, and they're so happy and proud of the mission, and there's zero evidence that it's actually even happening, except for the fact that you have a government agency saying it's happening. So I think if you think that the government is honest and that the media is honest, then maybe the moon space program is real. But for me, I don't think they're honest at all. Like, zero. So I think that the space program, while employing very cool, smart, honest, nerdy people at NASA, they're not all bad people, of course. The mission, the overarching mission, is not for the benefit of mankind. Otherwise, people want to go back to the moon. It would create an entirely new business vertical. All the amateur astronomers would have something really important to do, like a joint control mission, and it would prove and unite humanity. And yet it's this impossible technical feat right now. It makes no sense. Tons of money being spent on Hollywood, tons of money being spent on false wars, tons of money being spent on war on drugs and all this stuff, and not going back to the moon and discovering the origin of literally something that controls and moves life on Earth like the moon does. It's just crazy to me. I've said that a bunch tonight, but that's really how I feel. It's like every article that doesn't talk about the moon in a maximalist, like, holy crap way just doesn't make any sense to me. "921 Virgo says, reminds me of the movie They Live." It's true, man, but you know, like, I thought about it. Somebody made a great point about They Live. Like, when he puts on the glasses and he sees all these alien people, the alien people are also living under this structure where they're shopping and they're mating. So they're not really excluded from the matrix that they've set up themselves. Yeah, there are people, the aliens in control are, but, like, the actual aliens, like the business type alien who's at the deli, is also seems to be part of the system. Fast Pace says, why don't we see satellites go by the moon? We do sometimes. It's pretty, you'd be shocked at how many satellites there are, really. When you look at through IR or infrared, you'll see a ton more satellites than we see optically. But I've definitely seen satellites cross in front of the moon. Fresh 75 says, India Space Agency still using handheld walkie-talkies. I nearly fell off my chair. That's pretty, listen, it is really funny, man. Like, I don't know what to say, but like, it's 20, almost, what, we're at it's the second half of 2019, right? The edge of reality, like our cell phones, like our holographic, like, manipulation devices with fingerprint ID and pulse detection and eye recognition, face scans, telescopes, like, just crazy, crazy tech, right? You type in Chandrayaan-2 Indian rover that's going to the fucking moon, and there's not a single photo, and these, not just that, it's like the videos that are coming out of the ISRO, like tickers, like super fast tickers, and it's like Tim and Eric. I mean, honestly, it looks like an Adult Swim video coming off their space agency. I'm not making fun, I'm actually just saying it's like the Twilight Zone. It's like fucking crazy. I swear I think that I'm going crazy each day when I see these things. NASA is just a little glossier than that, but their articles are the same types of articles that the ISRO, like, walkie-talkies are. NASA once in a while will have like an incredible photo, but basically every other article in between is like how they baked a cake at NASA, how children visited NASA headquarters, how they polished some device at NASA. I mean, just the most mundane and anyway, I'm not trying to shit on NASA. I'm sure they do a lot of good work, but just so ridiculous. What's up, Chow Yun Cat? That is my windowsill. It's not the Terminator right now. I can pull the moon all the way down. I could probably get it a bit closer, actually, and extend this a bit. There are a lot of people, and I've been talking a while. Shockwave, and I've looked at the fake moon landing and flat Earth and other conspiracies. Definitely not flat Earth here, and definitely not typical moon conspiracy either. I don't think like the flag or the lighting sources or any of the stuff that people think about. That's not true, not any of it. The radiation is really important. The pressurized suits are really important, and the irreplicability of it, to me, are very important questions. Even if it's true, I would love to know like how that radiation worked. Like, it's so broad. I've looked so deep into that, and the radiation is not seriously put to rest. The pressurized suits are not put to rest. If you really had 5 to 10 psi's in those gloves, you couldn't really do any work. And then the pictures where you see the suits are not pressurized, that's actually very interesting. So there's that, and then the cosmic radiation, and then you can't do it again, and no other country can do it again. So definitely not typical moon conspiracist over here, but I think I'd love to see it happen. I'd be the first to say, hell yeah, like that's an awesome GoPro shot of your damn rocket going to the moon, and I'd be really happy because that will give me something to do, you know? But because I know that there's a lot of stigma around asking about the moon missions, because like all of a sudden it's flat Earth, or it's like, or whatever it is, it's like you're an idiot because you question things. But I really think it's very important to question this particular event because it is a positive conspiracy. It's one of those things that people don't want to let go of, but if it was not performed the way it was, it would be great for next generations to be able to work on it, right? It's kind of very limiting, but I'll be back in a couple of minutes. I'm gonna get a drink and adjust the scope a bit more so we can see the moon. I get all passionate about this. This is one of the real things that like just gets my goat. New song again. Boom. Now that, actually, this is a rockin' track that I'm working on. Nobody's heard this yet. I know that there are some flat earthers in the chat, not trying to be disrespectful. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I just know that like where I come from is just a different place on that. I definitely believe in a lot of the normal, you know, common sciences and pop sci understanding of things, but I definitely think that it's gone in this whole other relativistic, mathematical way and this non-observational kind of system that we live in now, where it's all math and all simulations, doesn't really make sense to me. And I feel like the NASA stuff is kind of treads that line, the Apollo stuff treads that line where it's like, is it really real, or is it just kind of the setup for these other programs that are happening? So I don't think that like the technology is not possible. In fact, I think most of the UFO stuff is actually our stuff as human technology, or probably all of it. So can you go to the moon on public technology is sort of the question here. And if you can't go on public tech, then like how was it done? And if it was done through private tech, that's really interesting. That's a whole other layer to it. But anyway, it's all chill. There's a little Alan Watts.
How can I desire not to desire? How can I surrender myself when myself is precisely an urge to hold on, to cling to life, to continue to survive? I may be like a person who has a bad habit, as a result of which he is committing suicide. He knows that, but can't give it up, because the means of death are so sweet. The way the world actually is an enormously complex, interrelated organism. People undergoing shock, people locked in the colorless, monotonous corridors of mental institution. If you want life, don't cling. Is that if you are really aware of your own inner workings, we didn't have some campaign to have an improved brain. When you see that there's nothing else, there's nothing else. If you want life, don't cling. Don't cling.
yell, damn, that took me a second. So I switched it to the 6-inch scope, but there was something going on with the hand controller, so I had to switch up the mount as well. The drift is pretty hardcore right now, but a little bit of moon to take us out. Alright, what's up, chat room? Yo, thanks, Fast Paced. Have a good one. I appreciate all the kind comments on the tracks. Those were just all these last tracks were brand new from a couple of days. Last one was Race to Space. There was Sun Food, Sun 5, Sun 5, Moon 8 was the one before that. Before that was Romulus Watts. And then before that was Groovin' on a Sunday, which is just a demo. All right, this is called Tempo Switcher. Yo, take it easy, David Schmidt. Catch you soon. What's up, Michigan? How you doing? Yo, thanks for all the likes, everybody. I think I'm gonna wind it down over here. The controller is actually just a total mess, and the tracking is atrocious. But it's been a lovely show, just chatting about the moon, as always. Good, respectful chatter. Shockwave, I hope you stuck around. Oh man, I feel like you left earlier. Have a great night, brother, and I'll catch you on another one. Jen Perry says, what if the moon footage was fake because they didn't want to show anything live because what they might find? Yeah, totally. That could be it. Man, there's so much good chat tonight, but let me know if there's anything you want me to touch on. Otherwise, have a great day. Have a great start to your week. Happy Moon Day. And I'll try and be on another day this week on a waning crescent, hopefully. Thanks, Michigan, Starlight, 24/7, Fresh 75, Light Moon, David, 921, Virgo, Happy Honey, Chow Yun Cat, Dragon 76, Ellie Wynn, of course, Bon Dia, of course. I know Wild Vicky was here, Jello was here, Fast Pace was here, Shockwave was here, Duplicat was here, and whoever else I missed. Take care, everybody. Sleep well. Stay wise and be kind to one another if you can, as much as you can. Don't try too hard not to be too kind. Alright, that's it for me. Night. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out.